Kate here with a TBR for a very special April event that is happening. It is called the People April, and it is the brainchild of Elisabeth at Bookends and Books and Roz at Scallydandling about the books. So I will link their announcement videos down below, and you will want to check it out. It is basically kind of primary texts of people's lived experiences, along with, I think, biographies are included in that. People's lives and the observations that they have. So biographies, autobiographies, letters, journals, diaries, essays about lived experiences, I think is generally kind of the books that they are including for this event. And that is precisely my favorite type of nonfiction, memoirs. I love them all. So I'm very excited to take part in the People April. And I have, I'm calling it a pile of possibilities. It worked really well for me with March Mystery Madness and Middle Grade March. And I also like to have them because not only do I like to have options, but I like to have options because I DNF very generously. And until I have that kind of, I don't know, that tingly sense when I read a book that, oh yes, this is a book that I'm in the mood for. And it's also not necessarily that I read a book and I don't feel in the mood for it, so I'm putting it, putting it away forever. It's, oh no, it's just not the right time for it. So I will tell you about the books that I'm interested in. There are many lovely prompts for this, I think 4 or 5. But as soon as I watched Roz's video and she started talking about the kinds of books, immediately I had to pause it and write down this whole list of books that I had been thinking about for Nonfiction November before, or that had come into my awareness since then. And so because of that, I am not doing the prompts, but they are lovely prompts. And maybe others who are participating would like to do those. I did just realize one of mine is up here, so I want to grab it. So I have it to show you. I think I forgot to put it on the list here. That's why I didn't have it handy. But the group read is the 5, and the subline of that is the untold lives of the women killed by Jack the Ripper. So I think the narrative that has been told about the victims of Jack the Ripper has been kind of reductive and simplistic. And Hallie Rubenhold, who is the author, wants to give voices to these victims. And it's one that I have been intrigued by and interested in reading for a while. My only holdback is that I am a sensitive soul. And so I'm going to try. I'm part of the Voxer group, and I'm really excited. It's supposed to be extremely compelling nonfiction. It's going to be about the Victorian era. So I am looking forward to reading it, and I'm hoping it is not past my threshold of comfort. Hoping that I come back at the end of April to tell you about what a fabulous time I had reading it. And then the books that I am considering my pile of possibilities, the first is one that I hauled recently, and that is These Ruins Are Inhabited by Muriel Beadle. This is the story of a woman's year in Oxford when her husband was a visiting professor, and they came with their teenage son, and in that year he won the Nobel Prize. It's supposed to be just delightful and full of love for Oxford and England in general, and I love the sound of this. So I'm hoping to get to this. Then one that I am going to order online, and this is a little spoiler for, no, maybe I'll save the spoiler actually. Okay, so I'm going to order a book online. I'm going to be cheeky and not tell you what it is. But it would be perfect for this, and if not, then it would be perfect for Victober. I will tell you that much. Okay, then the next one is And Furthermore by Judi Dench. My love for Judi Dench has just grown so much in recent years of watching and now rewatching as time goes by. I love this woman so much, and she's always so sharp and witty in interviews. So I'm very excited to try And Furthermore, and I'm going to be doing the audiobook, which is narrated by Judi Dench, and I'm very excited to give it a try. I think it will be delightful. Sometimes those celebrity memoirs, sometimes celebrities can be fairly self-involved. She doesn't seem that way in the interviews I see with her, so I will be curious what it seems like as I read through it. And it just seems like it will be a real delight to read through. The next one is an Irish memoir, and after reading some Irish literature in the month of March, I just want to read much more. And this is called To School Through the Fields by Alice Taylor. And I think it's about kind of a rural setting, her childhood, and her remembering and looking back on her life. And I'm not sure if she lives outside of Ireland now, because I just, looked at the basic summary of it, and it sounded like it would be my cup of tea. I read a little sample. I loved her writing style, and I'm really hopeful because I'm always looking for more good memoirs because I find they're ones that I love to reread. And then the next one is A Zoo in My Luggage. This is by Gerald Durrell, who also wrote My Family and Other Animals. And this is about, I think he might be married at this time, but trying to make a zoo while he was traveling. And or living in Africa for a time period. I cannot remember what specific African country, but I will report back after I have read this book. I loved My Family and Other Animals. And then the follow-up, Beasts and Other Burdens. And then there's a third one that I haven't read, but really love that. So I'm excited to read more by him. And then the next one, which is a Victorian pick, is Every Girl's Duty by Alice Miles. This is the diary of a Victorian debutante. So I've heard wonderful things about this. I love this cover, and I'm very excited to give this a try. It's supposed to be very funny. And there's also a very fancy, I bought this used, there's a very fancy bookmark that was left in this. It's a leather bound with the person's initials. So too bad they left it in there. I will let you know what I think of this. And are there some pictures? There are some pictures too. Wow. So it will be a nice visual feast as well. And then the next one that I am looking forward to reading is called A Bully Father, Letters from Teddy Roosevelt to His Children. So the term bully in this is very different than we use it in the modern day. I think it means it's just wonderful, just beyond anything you can believe. And he was supposed to be such a tender and loving father. And so I'm really excited to read these letters by him. I think he's one of those wonderful examples of kind of robust masculinity and also being tenderhearted and sensitive and just a really well-rounded gentleman. So I'm excited to read these letters by him. They seem, I've been meaning to find out more about Teddy Roosevelt for years, and now is the time. I want to read his letters to his children, and this will be on audiobook. It's narrated by John McDonald, who narrates the Mitford audiobooks, and I love his voice so much. And then the next one is one that I have mixed feelings about it. So it is A London Child of the 1870s by Molly Hughes. And only upon further investigation of this, these were not published in the Victorian era. So I don't think I can count them as a Victorian book for this year. And I was just so excited to have three kind of new to me, unusual Victorian books to count for my Victorian tally this year. But I'm not having any trouble finding Victorian novels I want to read this year. So it's okay. I will just read it just because, and that's supposed to be wonderful. And there's two more in the set. So very excited to give this a try. And I am told by my dear friend Elisabeth that this is like the Bastable family of E. Nesbit's The Would-Be Goods series, but in real life. And they get into lots of trouble and scrapes. So I'm excited to see what this one is like. And then the next one is Before and After by Alison Wilson. So this, Alison Wilson is the grandmother of Ruth Wilson. And Ruth Wilson, the actress who you may have seen in the 2006 Jane Eyre, her grandmother found out, I think it was after her grandfather had died, that he had another family, and they had no idea about it, and he led this whole double life. And so it's kind of about everything in her life was shattered when she finds out about this and has to take in kind of how she feels about her husband now knowing all this. It's just supposed to be a really compelling memoir that includes lots of spiritual elements, and my friend Chelsea at Voyage of a Time Wanderer highly recommends it, and I love just a really heartfelt memoir. So I want to give that one a try. And then I will continue reading in Few Eggs and No Oranges, The Diaries of Vere Hodgson. And these are from 1940 to 1945. So actually, maybe my goal will be to get through 1941. I'm not planning on plowing through this because I want to savor it. I do not ever want to rush this. So it looks like the year will take 129, a little over 100 pages. So I think that could be really reasonable for the month. But I do enjoy this whenever I pick it up. It's just not something that's compulsion reading, if that makes sense. Okay, then the next one that is highly lauded, and it's about time that I try it, is H is for Hawk. So this is kind of a grief memoir, but also about her bond with this hawk in the midst of all her grief, this beautiful thing that happens. And I know that Olive from Book Olive really loves it, and it's just the kind of book that I could fall in love with, particularly if I like her writing style, and I'm hoping that I will. Then another one that I have a bit of hesitation about, but that is A Fine Romance by Susan Branch. I have loved so much Martha's Vineyard Isle of Dreams by Susan Branch, which in a way is kind of a grief memoir. Her husband leaves her for another woman, and so she relocates from California and finds this small little cottage and mends her heart in that time. This one is about traveling to England. So I have to say that everyone keeps telling me how good this is. As a person with a chronic illness, and I basically live like a disabled person, I don't know that I can ever do a big tour of England. I don't know that my body could sustain that. So it just stings to really think about that too much. I'm generally pretty content having my little life that I do. So I just don't know what a travel memoir is going to do, if it's just going to make me feel sorry for myself. And I don't like feeling sorry for myself. I have many wonderful things about my life. So I'm hoping I don't know, the writing is delightful enough that I feel like I get to travel by reading the book. We'll see. So I have complex feelings about it. I just don't want it to make me too sad that I can't travel like she can. So we'll see how I end up feeling about it. Then the next one, and the last one in my pile of possibilities, is Pastoral Song by James Rebanks. So The Shepherd's Life, I loved so much. This was when I was very newly on BookTube. I read this and loved it. So I have heard wonderful things about his follow-up now, Pastoral Song. And James Rebanks is a sheep farmer in the Lake District in England. And so it's his writing is a really interesting combination of kind of oral history of the area and then just anecdotes with his family, what it's like to be a farmer, how it is to be bonded to the land so intimately, but then also how farming has changed with industrialization and the real downsides to that, and how it's so hard to make a living as a farmer if you aren't part of, big industrial size farms. So really interesting, kind of a lot going in there, and a lot of elements. And I was delighted that my library has Pastoral Song, and I'm excited to give it a go. So I keep saying I'm excited, but I don't know what else to say. And I am looking forward to diving into these. I will let you know in my April wrap-up what I thought of them, unless, I guess with Every Girl's Duty, which is a Victorian book, I will do an individual review of that, because if you are new to my channel, I'm trying to get to 25 Victorian books read in this year. So we'll see if I achieve my goal by the end of the year. Thank you as always for watching, and I will be back with another video soon.